Hey, what's going on, everybody? Bitcoin is having a pullback from yesterday's pump. Just a small recap here. We've been talking about it since back up here, something of a flat. And what a flat is basically a double fake out. So you essentially, this is your real top, not this. This is the corrective top. This is the real top. You have an A, you corrected above the all-time high. A lot of people think, we broke above the all-time high. We did. We got it. We succeeded. The issue is it wasn't a major breakout like that. It wasn't a big impulse like this above the all-time high, right? So it was more of a corrective move that just so happened to break above the all-time high because of this move right here. This was a major liquidation right there. That was more than that of FTX, right? So think of that like a extremely dry sponge, and then you throw it in the lake, and it just gets all absorbed, right? But the problem is you stall out with momentum, because if you look how Bitcoin's been jamming, you know, below 40K, below 39K, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves to the upside, just grinding, from less than 39K all the way up to 69K. So eventually things stall out, right? There's no more buyers, right? Everybody already bought. People who wanted to buy, chances are they already bought, right? So then you get this liquidation. People go, oh, it's a pullback, right? And it's true, it is a pullback. And then, but it was really the beginning of a correction. And this move back to the upside was also correcting this move, right? So, so for example, let me explain it like this. This move right here, this correction, right? See, it's all choppy, choppy, choppy. We broke above the all-time. Hey, yeah, let's go. Let's go to the all-time high, right? Let's keep going, right? So we broke out. Let's go. But basically, this move, this corrective move that broke the all-time high, all it was doing was correcting this wave. This wave, like I said, was a major liquidation event across the board, right? So it was bigger than FTX, right? Which meant that it was excessive. It was over exuberant. It was too much to the downside, which then caused an opposite reaction, right?
Newton's third law: for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. I come to realize that what really defines us is how we react to things that happen in our lives.
So there you go. Newton's third law. For every action, there's an opposite, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So this big fat move right here is the key. It's the key. It really is. This liquidation, everybody remembers, like, whoa, is this it? Is this done here? So this was a major reaction, which then caused an opposite reaction, right? It caused an opposite reaction. But the thing is, when you look at it on the face, it looks like, okay, this is a pullback and now we're continuing higher, and we broke the all-time high. Great, let's go. Nobody's explaining it in the way that, yes, we did break the all-time high. However, it was a correction. We corrected above the all-time high. Why? Because we had this move. If we didn't get this major liquidation event, we wouldn't have enough of that opposite reaction to then break us above this top. I believe this was the top. This, yes, it was a top, but it was the top of a B wave, right? It wasn't the top of the impulse wave. That's the difference. So that is very important, right? So you have an A, you have a B, right? Look how choppy it is, right? And then now here's a C. The question is C finished? Or do we have a little bit more down to go? Either way, I think, on the face of it, it's somewhat of a flat pattern. And I've been talking about, so now that that's established, we got all that, right? So now the question is this C wave done? Well, you could say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like a diag, right? I mean, you can even place that other wave there. the problem with that is, let's see, because we want to follow the rules here. Is the third wave the smallest wave? If the third wave is the smallest wave, then it really doesn't work. And it is the smallest wave, right? So I would say then, let me actually zoom into the 1 hour chart so we can get a little more detail on that, because we want to know when Bitcoin's going to reverse for altcoins, right? The biggest thing is for the altcoins. When will altcoins start to move again? And before I get into that, look at this. So Bitcoin's down about 4%. Theta Fuel's down about 6%. XRP's up almost 5%, right? So that's pretty good considering the fact that, most of the market is down. Look at Total 3. It's down 2%. Ethereum's down 2.5%. Aave's down 1.2%. XLM's flat. QNT is flat. Look at Theta is down 9%. Now, to be fair, Theta did have a good pump yesterday. But look at XRP versus Bitcoin. It's almost up 10%. So because of the day, because of the events, right, I was kind of going to do something different. But because of that, I'm going to talk about XRP. So stick around for that. But before I get into that, check this out real quick with Bitcoin. So we want to know, is this completed? Well, what I can do here is say, I could draw a trend line, right? And look at this. We broke to the upside, and now we have a 1, 2, 3. We have a 3-wave pullback. Remember what I said yesterday? This was just yesterday. I said, don't FOMO, right? Wait for a pullback, and we're getting one. The question is this going to turn down? Is this going to continue pumping down to the downside? Well, we'll see if support gets held in here. We want to have support hold in here. So Bitcoin can hold in that area. Let me get an accurate numbers for people who are listening, not watching. Let me put that right there. So Bitcoin can hold, say, above 63K, 62.9, 63, between 62.9 and 63.6. Currently at 65.1. So if we can hold above that area, I think we would be in a good sort of chance for a continuation to the upside. Because the big question everybody wants to know is, when are we going to go up? Is the correction over, right? So the first thing, when you're looking at a chart is, okay, depending where it is, and where I started off was in Wyckoff accumulation, right? Then when's it going to break out? Okay, for example, Theta Fuel real quick, just to highlight an example here. When is this going to break out? Right? We got the breakout. Okay, now we're in a correction. Well, when's the correction going to end? Okay, we got the correction. Now, when's it going to continue, right? So these are the questions people have, and these are the topics I like to talk about, because I have the same questions as everybody else. It's funny. I just went to YouTube the other day, and I typed in, Bitcoin TA. And a lot of the TA out there, they basically talk about, not all of them, but, a lot of them talk about, okay, here's the resistance, right? Here's the support. If we lose this support, we're going to go to this support, right? If we break this resistance, we're going to go to this resistance. Yeah, no crap, obviously, right? But that's not what people want to know. That's common sense, right? Like when we were over here, if we break this, we might go to here, or if we break below here, obviously, right? That's how you read a chart. But people want more than that. They want, okay, that's the fact of the chart, but give us your interpretation of what that means and what you think is going to happen, right? So, a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there for that reason, because they don't know. They're just going by. They're reacting to the day to day, right? So they wait until it tells them. But for me, I like to talk about before that happens, so that we can be ready right? So if this, then this. If this, then this, right? So, you know, uh, basically what we see here is we have a shoulder, we have a head, and maybe we're getting another shoulder. I talked about that yesterday, right? So, we're getting that potential right shoulder. We want to see support get held in here, right? And then another thing too, like I said, we broke above this trend line, right? And we're currently back testing it. I mean, look at this. We got a perfect back test here going on. So we break out. We have an A, B, C, a three-way pullback, and we're back testing, or they call it this. They call it a break, hook, and go. So a break, hook, and go, right? So yeah, we'll see if we get the go part. We got the hook. Let's see if we get the go. Today is Thursday. It's usually, I would say Wednesdays and Thursdays are probably the most volume in the crypto market, it seems, especially Thursdays. So we'll see if we get some volume today. If not, then I really think we need to go sideways a little bit here. So the thing is, if we have a move like this, it sort of tells me it's not over yet. What you kind of want to see is something like this, right? Where you start to build a base in here, right? You build that base of support. So here's your base, and then here's your base right here, right? It's a lower base, and then you have a higher base, right? So the base can take many forms, right? You can look at it like, boom, or Wyckoff area, where then you can even get a spring and then go, or you get more of a sideways choppy action. And that would make sense through the weekend, right? Because the weekend's coming up. Usually nothing eventful happens on the weekend. Sometimes once in a blue moon, you get some crazy moves. But I would expect, going back to the idea that I had yesterday, was two ideas, which is an A, B, C. One, we have this impulse off the top. We correct to the downside. Maybe, it takes longer. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know how big it is. But essentially, you have a retest of this support area somewhere in there, right? The 618. Then you start to continue breaking to the upside, right? And you develop this inverse sort of head and shoulders in the process, right? You break out of that downward resistance line, and then you go. So that would be an A, B, C, and now we're rocking and rolling again, right? So that would be the first idea. The other idea would be that if this comes up in 3, like this, and then we get back down in 3, right? Or it can be a bigger 3 like this. So it'll be a W, X, Y, and then you start to go up. Or better yet, a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, go. You guys know that, right? So that's the thing about corrections. There's so many different ways that the price can correct. It's not about fortune telling. You just don't know. But the whole point is you don't have to know. That's the cool thing about it. You don't have to necessarily know exactly how it's going to correct. You just kind of want to have the edge on if it's correcting. We know that. And what happens after the correction? Is this a distribution and a reversal? Or is this a bullish correction and a continuation? Well, depending on what time frame you look at, I say this is a bullish correction. Now that's subjective, right? It could take some time for that to play out. So we'll have to wait and see on Bitcoin. So the point is, to me, it looks like a bullish correction. I mean, just look at this, right? You know how you can tell, right? We're pumping to the upside. We're impulsing to the upside. But now look, chop, chop, chop. We're chopping to the downside, right? The waves are overlapping. And you can kind of see, right, this bull flag in here. That's a typical correction where you impulse, right? And then you chop to the downside, you get that breakout, and then you can have that continuation. Now the breakout can go back down into reaccumulation and then go, but regardless of that, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, I talked a lot about it on yesterday's video. I'm not going to get back into all of it, but if you haven't already, go watch yesterday's video on Bitcoin if you want more thorough analysis. And then also it kind of looks like maybe I was going to say like a broadening wedge, but I don't really like it too much. Because it's not really broadening, it's more of a channel. So we can, either way, we're in some kind of correction. So let me zoom in a little bit more and see if we get any detail in here. So here's what I said yesterday. Here's the key that I said yesterday. So basically, I said so far, right? I believe we were somewhere right in here yesterday. Somewhere up in there. And I basically said, is this going to be 3 waves or 5 waves? Right now it's 3. You have 1, 2, 3. So a 3-wave move, that's a correction. We don't want that. So what we want to see, this is how you kind of know that we're reversing. Now, obviously, the price can continue up in a corrective mode because, so for example, price can move up correctively or it can impulsively move up, right? So, when price moves up and you look at it like on Coinbase, you go, oh, the price is up. But yeah, is the price up because it's correcting to the upside? Or is the price up because it's impulsing to the upside, right? So when you have 3 waves, that's a correction. That's correcting to the upside. And you could say, well, why is it correcting to the upside? Because look what it's been doing over the last week. It's been going down, 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 right? So this 3-wave move is correcting this entire move here, which is also part of a correction of the prior move, right? So that's why, it can be confusing. And that's why, again, why my videos are a little bit longer than others, because I like to talk about that stuff. I think that type of information is valuable, especially if you want to, as you're looking at your own charts and your own stocks or coins or whatever. It takes years and years of practice and understanding. But that's why, it's good to talk about it so that we are aware of, what's really happening. Instead of what the price is telling us, what is the chart telling us, right? So we have 1, 2, 3. So what I want to see is an A, B, C. We got that. And then another move to the upside. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So can we get 5 waves? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I'm waiting to see. Right? If we can get 5 waves to the upside, then at that point, I would look for something like this. Something like that, where price comes up, right? We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we sort of have a correction in here, something like this, right? It doesn't have to be like that, but something in here, right? Something in here that indicates a pullback. And then what that does is it develops a base. So if you draw here, there's your base. There's your base right there. And that's what we want to see. We want to see a strong base, because if you go to the downside and have a V-shaped recovery, what happens is you lose momentum a lot faster. That could totally happen. And everybody will be very excited, but be careful what you wish for, because, if we get that, then momentum stalls a lot quicker. So what we want to see is we correct to the downside, then we have this impulse to the upside, then we sort of flag out for a while, right? And then we go, right? That's what I want to see. That's what I'm hoping is the case. So that would be my primary bullish idea right there, right? A lot of people, again, I've seen a few analysts and they don't really like to do that, right? Because they're, especially in a wave 4 correction, because there's so many different things that can happen. But that's what I would like to see. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. This is not financial advice, but this is sort of the roadmap that I'm looking for. Well, first of all, we need to get this fifth wave, right? The fifth wave doesn't have to be so sudden. It could correct another 3 or 4 days before we get that fifth wave. Then we start our descent. So I don't know how it's going to look, but the general idea is something like this, which would then mean, right? Like I said, again, you have a shoulder, you have a head, right? And you develop this other shoulder. Maybe it's a bigger shoulder, right? And continue pumping to the upside. Another way you can look at it is sort of like a boom, 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 which is a Wyckoff, right? It's sort of like a slanted M. So it's like this, something like that, right? Before you come up like this, and then you go. And this can come all the way down too. So it takes different shapes. So long story short, Bitcoin, in my opinion, is in a bullish correction. Now, if this thing is going to break below this, then we change it, right? Then we can say, okay, now we're switching gears and we're thinking about something else, right? And then at that point, I would say I put up the Fibonacci. I put it right down here. You know, the 618 is around 59K. We haven't quite reached it, but basically for me, I don't want to see it fall below 57.5, or I would say 57.6. So as long as we stay above 57,600, I think we're in a very, we're still in a bullish correction. If it's going to be deeper than that, then we're probably going to meet up with the bull market support band at some time, right? And then also, what could also happen is a simple range, basically an oscillation range, right? So, and then as it's oscillating down, up, something like that, the bull market support band is getting closer, right? It's starting to level off here, right? And maybe we come down and we test it, right? We have some type of bigger, something like that, where we have this bigger bull flag, if you will. Boom, boom, boom. We oscillate down that bull flag. We meet up with the bull market support band. We develop a base in here, and then we start accelerating to the upside. So that would be if it was a bigger correction, and it can totally take that long, right? So those would be my two bullish ideas. And then also something else I said yesterday, W, X, Y. And essentially that's the same thing as I just had. It's just a different variation of that correction, right? So you can say, something like this, right? Where you just have this same thing, right? So yeah, but my main idea would be that first thing I said. So we have, when you go to the 3-hour chart, this is only one wave. So if we get another wave, that's still only 3 waves, right? So again, that's where it gets complicated. You got to look at different time frames. Different time frames mean different things, but they all sort of mean the same thing in essence, right? So yeah, that's it for Bitcoin. I think, and then if you go back in time, every single move that Bitcoin broke above the all-time high resulted in this structure where you have a top, you have an A, B, C, and then it continued, right, pumping to the upside. So, I mean, here's back in 2017. It's the same thing. Look at that. Doesn't that look exactly the same, just bigger? You have an A, B, C. You corrected to the downside. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, right? It was overlapping. It was in the shape of a bull flag, right? This was 2024 before. I shared it, and this is 2020, right? And that's the same looking structure it's creating, right? So you have an A, B, C, and all of these structures, every single time Bitcoin has broken above its all-time high, that first pump right here, that B wave was a fake out, and it turned into a flat, right? So here we are again, 2024. It's the same story where here's the all-time high, right? You come down, you break above the all-time high, A, B, right? Here's your A wave, here's your B wave, and then you do this choppy stuff, right? This choppy correction for wave C. You break out, you sort of flag out a little bit, right? Kind of develop a base in here, and then bam, take off and continue going. And that's usually the story. Now, the question is, will that happen again? We will see. So I think I'm going to cut it there. I want to do shorter videos, right? Maybe that might help the viewership if I cut down on the length. So I'm just going to put out this Bitcoin video, and my next video will probably be XRP. I don't know what order I'm going to put it in yet, but yeah, that'll do it for this video. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in for this quick Bitcoin update. It's basically a recap of yesterday. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. It would be amazing if you guys can leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And always, drop a comment, even if it's just a number or something to help, the algos. Or drop below your favorite coin. And maybe I'll take a look at it on the next rapid fire video. But if you'd like to leave a tip, I have a tip jar here on the screen, YouTube tip jar. I can't really put it in the description, so I got to show it at the end of the video. But if you want to support my work, you got 4 addresses there, and that's always extremely, extremely appreciative. Yeah, I will catch you guys on the next video. And I'm going to do most likely XRP, and then also I'll probably end up doing another video for THETA, or I'll probably combine the two. So we'll see. But anyways, guys, take care. Thank you.